So we're having a very interesting conversation today with Toni Hopponen. We're talking all about websites' roles in the changing B2B buying behavior. And to set this up a bit, I'll tell you about what most people see when they look at B2B websites today. There's a lot of really confusing jargon on them. There's a lot of gated content still where you don't actually get to understand what things are doing. There's a lot of salesy language. And quite honestly, if you were thinking about how you'd be buying yourself, most people just want a bit more clarity, a bit more trust and speed to understand what the heck does that product do. So that's why we brought in Toni Hopponen here. He is an expert on the topic of B2B landing pages. He's the founder of Landing Rabbit, which is a solution that helps B2B services and software companies basically create a high-performing landing pages. He works with a dozen B2B teams and he's got a lot of insights of how to take underperforming landing pages and B2B content and turn them a bit more into conversion engines. And that's what a lot of founders want, right? They want a converting website. So we're looking into what's going to be really working in 2026. As of today, AI is taking a big role in B2B. A lot of changes have happened in the last few years. So we're going to look at what's really working and, more importantly, what needs to stop, what's going to be over, and what you shouldn't be doing on your website. So Toni, with that very, very extensive introduction, good to have you here and glad to hear some of your expertise on the topic.
Thanks for the invite, Larry. I'm happy to be here.
So let's just get straight into it. What do you think is, in B2B sales and B2B websites, what do you think is broken in today's world?
Yeah, I mean, we've had great website building tools since we started marketing probably together, like 2010s or so. We've had WordPress and later Webflow and others, but for surprisingly many teams, to get that page live and landing pages live is pretty difficult. There's like multiple skills involved. You need a developer, designer, and then obviously the content needs to be great. And it might not be that easy to orchestrate that process. And when I discuss with my customers, there's a couple of things that they mention really often. One is that maybe they don't have the right tools and processes in the first place. So maybe as a marketer or as a founder, even if you're trying to update the site, you don't have the tools. A lot of business to business, especially tech companies, they like to create their pages from scratch and custom code. So it might limit the sort of the ways of how to build. And then another sort of bottleneck that many marketers are when they discuss with me is that you have so many pages to create and so many different stakeholders like pulling you in the different directions that it might be difficult to find the clarity within the team. So yeah, surprisingly many struggle with this, despite the fact that kind of the tools are out there, or that there are a lot of tools to choose from. And yeah, it's something that I've been sort of working on and investigating a lot in the past year. And when I started building Landing Rabbit, I was actually asking people, other marketers, that how do you optimize pages, and most marketers responded that, Tony, it would be awesome to optimize these pages, but first we need pages. So yeah, the struggle is there for many marketing teams today.
And I can completely empathize with this because I create a lot of websites in my work, and as a marketing leader before running small marketing teams, it's not a problem to create content. It's not a problem to create websites anymore. That problem has been solved. But most B2B websites, they will go through a very painful exercise to decide what's in, let's say, the solutions page, product page, and then they just let it sit on the shelf for 2 or 3 years without touching it. And then they go back to it and realize, oh, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with what we're selling anymore. So I think the kind of the approach that you're describing seems a lot better. It seems like this is a problem that should be solved. The collaboration between different teams is not easy. So we'll probably go through how you think that can be solved with Landing Rabbit. One aspect I want to bring in that is really important, and this is why actually we're talking today, is also that basically search engine behavior has also been changing. And I've been working a lot with SEO lately, where the number of searches you get that result in people visiting your website has been dropping dramatically. The reason is that a lot of people actually find their answers in AI search engines. And so basically, my question to you is that when people are finding more and more of their answers in AI engines and they don't even click at the website anymore, have you found that this is also something that kind of landing pages and optimizing them can actually impact?
I'm actually really excited about that. Sort of like in a bizarre way, it's great that we're not getting that many clicks versus that maybe there's an opportunity that the AI services can provide much better content for the user, maybe even personalized content. So yeah, coming back to landing pages specifically, in the past when you were trying to rank for a certain term, then you had to go for quite generic and few word long terms and phrases because people weren't really not using the Google search bar in the same way as they use the chat engine. And I think the chat allows us to get a better chance for something that we've previously maybe created for support and maybe sales enablement use cases. Gives us a chance to rank or get visibility for those pieces of content. Whether that will directly lead to someone clicking the content, or even if the ChatGPT or Claude or others will show our link, that's another question. Maybe that improves over time, or goes worse, who knows. But in general, I'm really excited about the fact that now that I'm creating very specific landing pages, like it could be in my scenario, it can be like, okay, this landing page builder for founders who struggle with this point, then that can actually find its way. Whereas in the previous one, when someone was just like looking for a landing page builder for startups, did not go that far, wasn't really personalized for them, then yeah, it was really hard to rank with landing pages beyond the very generic terms, and that was really competitive space, of course, with others going there. So yeah, I see a big opportunity not only for landing pages, but for any other content that maybe used to wasn't that sort of like getting that much traffic, and then you were questioning yourself that, do we even need this page? Should we get rid of this page altogether? Now it may maybe be getting some more visibility through the search or AI powered search.
I fully believe in that. I think when ChatGPT got launched, I was, as a hungry SEO and marketer for working for a startup that was really small, I kind of realized that, okay, you could create different blog articles for different use cases. So we created a whole number of blog articles about, let's say, process intelligence for banking, process insurance for insurance, process intelligence for financial services. And that kind of works to an extent. A blog can be a form of information that you use to surface your product features to an ideal customer. But a couple of years later now, I think a lot of really smart companies moved on and they've realized that actually they can create separate landing pages for the different use cases they have. And it's not going to be confusing kind of to actually be more specific. And in those cases, what's really exciting is when you see that when someone is actually looking for a very specific use case, prompts are much longer than searches. So people might be looking for a very specific product that absolutely matches all their buying needs. And if your landing page can actually describe that what you are an ideal fit for their needs, then those conversion rates we've been seeing is super, super high. So
Yeah, yeah, I've got in my sort of content portfolio, I've got something that is related to problem solution specific elements on a landing page. So it's just like something very specific, and I would never ever cut that traffic through the generic search. Not Nobody wouldn't have been searching for that thing, but then through how the AI search kind of proposes different angles and different ways of what you could do, and also presents like, here's a nice landing page structure for you. Then it has a chance to link back or recommend my content. And also one other thing is, I think we haven't really seen it yet in that full capacity, but I think the personalization will just like continue to increase. So like when you're searching, then it will be like, oh, Larry, I know you like this one, and that can be a good or bad thing, but it will definitely like push us towards more personalized, and then that will, as a service or product provider, that will give you an opportunity to target like very specific niches that, yes, Google had that information. Yes, they used it for Google Ads targeting and something else, but not really having all that conversational rich data about you. So yeah, I'm super excited about the niche content in various formats, landing pages to help docs to everything.
Perfect. And I think what you're describing sounds really relevant for today's world, where, like, there's, for example, in very specifically in AI search visibility, there's a term of a query fanning out, which basically is like one AI search engine or answer engine is basically looking for related topics. They're trying to understand how to answer very personally to you what you're asking about, and basically there's lots of opportunities to create landing pages that really answer the specific needs of your buyers, every question they might be having in their buying process. This is kind of taking the, hopefully improving the buyer journey as well. But hey, we as sales and marketing professionals, we want to drive conversions, whether it is actually people booking a demo or whether it's people who are like signing up to a free trial. Ultimately, we want people to kind of find us and show interest in our products. Can you give us some tips about what are kind of these 5 things that you would look in a B2B landing page today to drive up conversions?
Yeah, definitely. There's a slight difference obviously between like pages that are, for example, newsletter, subscription, or event pages or so. But if we talk about more like product pages for business to business, then definitely there's a couple of things that I will add to every page that I have, and I think they are pretty relevant. I'm a big fan of showing like a small video loop at the start. It can be images, and in some product use cases, maybe there isn't an easy way to show the whole the whole product, or maybe you need to be a bit more abstract, but many companies have a chance to just give like 5-10 second loop, and that can really give context. Someone yesterday actually posted on LinkedIn saying that also add a in the hero you should add the category what you're doing, because it saves your kind of like, if you don't have the best copy, it will at least give some context what you're saying. So the video and some hint about like who is this for and what category, that's number one that I'd like to, or I like to add to every page. Then problem section, or that's how we call it often, but in reality it's just a section maybe underneath the hero, where it says that it gives you an idea that this company really understands me as a page visitor. It doesn't need to be any shocking problem or like, really game changing problem. It can be quite a neutral, but something that shows that, okay, we know that your team is probably struggling with this, or maybe this is your day to day, and there's an improvement, and that leads to the how it works. So that's my kind of element number 3, going from hero then to problem, or showing that why, and then the how it works. And that usually is, for me, it's often like very concrete, like, okay, do this 1 2 3 4 5, or 1 2 3. That helps. The sort of that 3-step start helps anyone who visits that page to understand that, okay, is this at all for me, or is this something that I should look into? And you kind of want to lose those customers that are like, okay, this is not really for me, because in the end, when you think about the whole process, then signing that client, you don't want to be in sales calls, or you don't want people to try your product that are not likely to buy that at all. Often we see marketers that they kind of like, they try to catch all, but if you really think about it from the sales perspective, the product perspective, you probably want to have the right one. So those three steps first, I'll add, and then relevant testimonials, and highlighting the word relevant, not just saying something that, oh, I love this company, or such a cool company with great support, or those don't really matter. It's more like, okay, this is a transition, or this is a pain point I had, and now this company is solving it, and as much as possible relevant to the what was above it. And then finally, I like to add some sort of a use cases, and this can mean a lot of things for many people. So some might have like templates, how to use the product, or use cases might be like certain type of audiences that can benefit in a different way. But like giving that person some inspiration that, hey, this is how you can get started with one use case, and also linking those back to landing pages is a very efficient way of like keeping that user on the page, and making sure that they find the information. Like often we target, like we take a look at our stats and see like, okay, this is our conversion rate for the landing page, or we're like worried about how many signups this one landing page generated, whereas maybe the better results come from a bit more holistic thinking that, okay, if I land on this page, and if I'm not sure yet where can I go, and where can I find the information that is really relevant to me. So yeah, if you get someone scrolling, then yeah, try to keep it there as long as possible is my kind of go-to tip.
I think those are really solid, and I think the mistakes I often see is when I look at audit landing pages of existing software companies, they overemphasize sometimes the feature sets of specific products, and sometimes it can go in very detail where it's like it literally looks like a catalog of what are the things that it can be done. I think there's a really valid case that there can be links between your website section where you, if you want to double click into the details of it, it's available, but then also make sure that the flow aligns with what I guess someone coming to discover your product would be interested in. Have you, a kind of follow-up question to that, have you seen any kind of observations about how much text you should have? Like, are people today, like, are their patients' attention spans shorter, or have you seen any kind of conversion lift for having longer or shorter text?
I'd say that like often when you read like the LinkedIn feed, for example, people are often saying that shorter text don't only work and so forth. But then in reality, we often see like case studies where someone might have like more like a blog post style, maybe a bit more styles used so that things stand out, but it can be a super long page. That's very typical for coaches and anyone who's kind of selling some sort of a change your lifestyle business, that they can be really really long ones and convert really well. So I wouldn't really say that the shorter is better. I think it's more about the fact that does the story make sense, and also like can you skim the page through quite quickly. So what I like to do when I write a landing page, then because everything on the landing page has probably been written in a like one thing at a time, so you often lose the sort of like the big picture quite easily. So I like to start like looking at the first hero heading, and then reading all the headings, and maybe read them in a weird way as well, to kind of understand that if I would be visiting this page and I would only look at the things that stand out, images and headings and maybe CTA buttons and so forth, things that are really sort of like standing out from the page, and make sure that that storyline makes sense. I think then if someone is interested in a specific thing and it's a longer text, I think it's completely fine. But like you have to be able to kind of get the story by just like taking a look at the headlines, and I think it's like one of the things that we already learned in school, but we never apply enough on the marketing pages. So yeah, and it's easy to lose track when you're writing the page. Then you maybe you add another section that wasn't there, and then all of a sudden the story doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I would be sort of yeah, using that tactic to make sure that the page works.
side point from this, I very much agree with that. And sometimes I think that companies, they don't even know what they're trying to do in terms of what's the conversion point. And for many landing pages, the conversion point should be that there's enough information to go and talk to sales, or there should be enough information to book a free trial. Whereas a lot of companies assume that they try to do the whole pitch, explain everything, document everything, all the materials that you might find in a discovery call with the sales team is all there. Whereas, yes, I think if those headlines make sense, if you have enough documentation, that kind of gets people curious enough to understand, does this address their problems? That's definitely a good starting point. Tony, now that you're here, like the landing page expert, we can ask some of the best practices. Lately, I've heard best practices on LinkedIn about including pricing, like a page for pricing, removing any kind of content gating of landing pages, white papers, documentation, and so forth, ebooks. And even some people recommend that you actually put common objections, like why you shouldn't be buying it. So, do you have any takes on these three best practices, or other ones that you advocate these days?
Yeah, I think it really depends a bit on the traffic that you're receiving as well. Like if you're receiving very warm traffic, so something, for example, coming from your personal LinkedIn profile and the post, then maybe that changes the picture a bit. That even if you don't have pricing, people are still signing up and so forth. But I guess the general rule of thumb is that for any service and product that you're selling, that the user would need to understand, or the visitor would need to understand, that is this even realistic for me? One of the really interesting things about that is that you can also frame it, even if you wouldn't have the full pricing, you can also frame it like through case studies and social proof, or on your pricing page you can kind of tell that well, you need to be spending, for example, this much in certain services for our service to be right one, and then you don't necessarily need the exact pricing, but you can maybe say a percentage of that spend. So I know one company, for example, that they charge based on how much their customers are spending on Google Ads every month. So then it's, even though there isn't one price for all, but it's easy to kind of like start from the fact that, okay, I'm not spending 20K per month in Google Ads, so this service is not for me. And yeah, if it's cold traffic, they probably want more information straight away versus warm traffic that can be like, okay, I know them, I'm sure I'm gonna find the price point, or maybe they have more information already through other channels. Same goes to a very sales-led organization, that probably they already built the relationship, and then someone coming to that website might be ready to buy without or not ready to buy, but ready to have that discussion without having all the so that's about the pricing. But yeah, the gated content is an interesting one. I think when I in the past, when I was creating for my previous company some downloadables, they didn't have them. Well, they had like you need to leave your email address, but not like a massive no form or anything like asking questions. Just like an email address there. But I think the world that we were living was a bit different, that when someone actually gathered and curated content in a nice package, it was valuable, even if it did not have that much unique insights. But nowadays, obviously, you can just like type and ask Claude and ChatGPT to give you that curated content, and it's probably better and more personalized than the that gated content can ever be. So I think that's definitely one thing to kind of consider if you're thinking to create something to download. But at the same time, I believe that if the founders and marketers, if they're building their personal profile, then you can easily have that gated content with your insights and social proof that, okay, this it's written by this or authored by this person. I can already name many or think many people that I follow or listen to their podcasts and so forth. And if they release some sort of a downloadable, I'm likely to leave my contact details if I can get access to it. So yeah, that also matters when discussing this topic, even if in kind of like in a generic way, you could say that that gated content doesn't work as well as it used to work. And yeah, what was the third one? Third one was
Objection. Should you be kind of answering what are the common reasons not to buy, or common things that are like, sales calls customers speak about?
yeah, definitely. It's sort of like I think it's getting easier now for us to be less biased. I think when creating those pieces of content where we try to kind of speak the same way, or we try to actually use some of those pain points that people are mentioning. I think in the past, if you thought about like creating a new content, then you had your favorite pain points very clearly in your mind and highlighted with a yellow pen. But the now you can just go to Granola or whatever note-taking tool you're using, and you can actually ask like, okay, what were the phrases people were using, or are there similarities between chats? And yeah, you can go very obviously very deep in those discussions. So yeah, I think it at the moment AI definitely helps us to do that more often. In the past, if you like, and I think today as well, if you go to a regular B2B website, and if you look at, for example, industry specific pages or use case specific pages, they are very similar in their content, and there's very little of that like reasons why and the actual phrases. So yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity to improve as a marketer, just because of the tools that we have, but also like how much time those tools can free up for that type of work to find out the information.
That brings up a foundational, really interesting topic. In a previous conversation, you mentioned that actually people should be looking at what the customers say to create landing pages, and this is it sounds fairly obvious, but now you mentioned that there's tools like Granola, there's video recordings, so you can have customer meetings transcribed and, at scale to get a very deep understanding of those common questions. So just kind of tell me about what it is about, the tips that you can give about using the voice of the customer in creating landing page content. Any insights you can share about?
Yeah, I've used it a lot for myself, and then when I've been helping others as well. I think it actually goes beyond this marketing chat quite a bit. Like when I've been working with others, and for example, founders often have very sort of clear idea what customers are saying, and what we should kind of talk about in marketing, what kind of social media posts we should be posting. They often have very sort of like strong opinions on that. But when you then actually start analyzing different calls, and also take a look at that, okay, how did we frame that question when person answered? So did we even give them an opportunity to answer something that they feel, or did we already push that answer and they kind of just repeated what we wanted? So those things really help within the teams to make it more transparent and make it easier to share with everyone, and then that builds more sort of like common understanding that what we could promote in the future. But I've always used in addition to calls and voice notes, I've used live chat discussions, and I think that's also one sort of like untapped opportunity for marketers, that live chat questions are pretty similar to those that people are asking through the AI sort of services. Obviously, if someone is within your live chat and already has discovered your product, then they might have a bit more details about it, but still some of the basic questions will definitely repeat within your live chat. And I've used those already before this AI hype and all the great tools that we have right now. I've used those to figure out, okay, what content I should actually create, like what landing pages could work, and then that all kind of leads to a better product as well. That okay, we're actually serving the right customers. The people are asking these questions, where actually our product can also answer that. So yeah, it's like a loop that keeps building a better product for you. In my current sort of how I did create content, I'm actually creating all content except my LinkedIn post by using voice notes. So that can be either a sales call recording with someone, or it can also be something where I summarize what are the pain points and what I just discussed with a customer, and then I give that to AI, in our case to Landing Rabbit, but you could use other AI tools as well. And then a lot of examples of what I'd like that end result to be, and then that's a sort of like has changed my content production totally. So yeah, both your own notes, but also yeah, the sales call recordings and any other recordings with customers.
Foundationally, this is brilliant. I'd love to try it in Landing Rabbit. This is very similar to the method I use when I'm creating content with my customers, where you're interviewing, and sometimes you can be interviewing a very deep technical expert of a product, like a CTO, who is describing something that you might not even understand yourself fully as an interviewer. But the way that these language models work is that sometimes the answers that you get when you're generating answers based on expert opinions, it's so much crisper than what the person said themselves, and it can be really easily defined into the framework of, let's say, a well-converting landing page or a website, where it's kind of changing the way marketers think and act. It's brilliant.
And one thing to add is that what I've noticed with my content production is that I can definitely write a better landing page or better blog post if I spend a lot of time on it, and if I really focus on it, and if I have the idea, I can still like it's still a bit more my voice straight away, but the consistency is something that I can't beat. So like if I want to create 10 articles and it takes me like maybe 30 minutes to create those, first create the voice note, then get the draft, maybe edit the draft, and maybe it's like 30 minutes versus like hours or a day, whatever it takes to create a long one. And if I do 10 articles, I can tell that the AI is the quality is also better. We just often, as marketers, we kind of like we take a look at that first draft and think that, well, it doesn't really match my best writing. But then like what the reality is for marketers is that you're not always the best version of yourself. So in a row of 10 AI generated posts that you still edit, of course, but basically written by AI to maybe 80-90%. Yeah, it's just the end result is probably better than you writing the best possible ones. Yeah, you just can't get that consistency.
And sometimes the consistency doesn't come from that specific interview. It may actually become from some of the supporting documentation you use. Like, I think you've mentioned earlier that if you're working with early stage founders, they may not have all that time to hire product marketers, all those resources, but they might have some understanding, like a positioning framework that they're using, or a sales deck or something. So could you talk about the very low barrier to access, other ways that you can create landing pages based on content you already have?
Yeah, of course. Like the because yeah, the positioning or like giving that idea for the LLM that okay, what do you want to actually achieve, and what does your company do? What are the customers, and what problems do they face? Then those are usually in the sales deck, at least in like even if it's not the best sales deck, but it's the best what that founder is currently thinking, and they keep updating that when they get no's and not so great response in a sales call. They're more than keen to update it and figure it out that okay, how could I present this application in a different way. Also in a sales call, I often find it's easier for me to explain how this product works versus like actually then writing like okay, what are really important things. You just keep mentioning those important things within the context and with the customer. So yeah, all the materials that you already have, they are great sort of way to power the landing page building. And just like you said, that me as a writer or anyone who's writing, we tend to forget some of the things that we should always repeat. And AI is sort of like good and bad in a way that it doesn't forget things to mention, and it might feel like sometimes we might think that well, these are all quite similar in terms of their repeating, but that's a good thing in marketing, that you remember to mention the really key things that customers should know about, because like in reality, when someone visits your page, they won't be browsing like tens of pages that often. It might be just one or two, and therefore it's important that you have certain key information there always, and then rest is expanded, and that's where I find it really good at. So like in our product, we have like base information what you do, and then as a customer you can have like very specific niche use case or problem, and AI is super good at like applying that small detail, that information on top of the sort of the base. So yeah, if you have a sales deck for certain type of audience, then that will be a perfect sort of inspiration source for AI to apply on top of what you do.
I have a very specific tangent on that. The way that AI search visibility works, there's actually a lot of companies that have a problem that they describe what they do in a different way on each different part of their website, whether it's the blog or the different product pages. And this creates this kind of discord that when you ask ChatGPT or Claude, what does this company do? You get a very different answer every day. You'd be surprised at how different the ways that companies describe themselves are in different parts of their website. So one practical advice I've noticed is that if you are consistent about how you describe your company across different landing pages, it actually does emphasize the consistent wording of your product in AI search engines. You can literally try it by repeating the same sentence 30 times on your website, and you'll see that sentence that's repeated 30 times on your website is probably going to be the one that's showing up on ChatGPT.
It's amazing because then it works just like we want it, or that's
Exactly.
how we should also, like what we should aim for anyway. What I've
Mm.
like with my previous company, blog posts were driving a lot of signups through landing pages. So it was like you read a blog post, then you go to a certain landing page, and then you sign up through that, and it was all basically based on the sort of the same, not the same words in every necessarily in every post, but making sure that all the posts kind of lead to either to a specific solution or to the homepage, but still keep those key ingredients, that why would someone sort of consider this service, why you wouldn't consider this service, and then trying to sort of like make sure that any page you visit, there's this common sort of like some sort of a thread that you understand that okay, this is how the company works, and this is what are the benefits. And yeah, I've some companies obviously they use a lot of like separate freelancers, and they have obviously employees coming and going and so forth. So that also like in a natural way means that some of your content is not matching, and it's not the best possible at the moment. But with AI, you can also uh, try to analyze that. Okay, could you take a look at these pieces of content and see if there's anything that is kind of confusing for the model, and why wouldn't the model always reply the same thing? It's just like you said in your example, that if you repeat it, then but yeah, you can also kind of revert it and ask model to take a look at what's confusing on these when you compare these articles. So yeah, a lot of things we can do as a marketer to make it better for LLMs, but also anyone who's visiting the page. So, yeah.
Tell me, kind of landing pages I know are really important for performance marketing. So if you're doing Google ads or if you're doing LinkedIn ads, like landing pages is kind of even testing landing pages is really important aspect of that work. Is that kind of aspect also, in your day-to-day work in Landing Rabbit? Or is that a key use case? Can you describe what are the kind of benefits of aligning landing page testing with Google ads?
Yeah, that's actually the reason why I started building the company in the first place. I was with Vlogler, we were spending around 20K, sometimes 30K a month for Google Ads, and we obviously started from zero, so I saw the from okay what it means when you start with Google Ads, and what it is when you spend quite a lot of money per month, and what you need to do to then increase conversions. And one of the funny kind of things when I look back, I was like, I hired someone to help me with Google Ads, someone who knew all the sort of settings, the best ways to manage it, and he helped me to set it up. And then he was constantly saying to me that, Tony, you should build landing pages instead of this generic homepage that we drive traffic to. That this is just hurting your conversions, and you should build those. And I was like, well, how difficult can it be that when someone visits our page, and if it's a homepage, they will still find the information? I really didn't listen to that, or I was too naive, inexperienced at that point. And then at some point, I started testing them, and I still felt like when I was creating landing pages that were just like a single part of my service, for example, just like one feature or use case, and I felt like these are so dumb, like because they're not really showing my whole sort of application. But then from the results, it was easy to see that yeah, there's a massive difference if someone is searching for specific solution, and if you give them sort of like, okay, this is exactly what we do, click sign up, instead of like try to find the information through the homepage. We overestimate the sort of the time and energy that a person is willing to spend to figure out if a business to business service can actually do it for them. So yeah, they're a huge part of the Google Ads targeting. When I started then building this landing rapid, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some research on this topic, that how many people are actually, or how many companies are actually having a good landing pages. And to my surprise, roughly 30% of business to business tech companies are actually showing something that looks great, or matches the keyword and the question. And then 70% it's just like losing money, basically, not like either to a homepage or to some sort of a completely unrelated page. And there's many reasons, not only the fact that you don't have those pages, but also that how the Google Ads or other advertising platforms, how the campaign has been set up. But yeah, it's still a lot of sort of room for improvement for marketers out there, that if you get those things right, the landing pages versus what the ad is, if you get that match right, then you're gonna increase conversions and spend a lot less money on advertising, for sure.
A very intuitive example of this may not kind of end up in the final interview, but when you're going to Google and you're searching for flights to Athens,
Yeah.
you probably want a landing page that shows you can book a flight with an airplane to Athens. And if you're not going to get it to Athens, if it's going to say you're going to Istanbul, you're not going to convert. The same goes to B2B. So if you're literally offering a service and someone has a very specific need, if it's not on your landing page that you service that need, you're going to have a lot of people clicking right out. And it's actually very expensive for you to have those people jump back to Google and search for something else. And it's not just your conversion rate that suffers, it's also your quality score and all kinds of other nasty stuff. It gets very expensive very quickly.
Yeah, and also in my sort of, when I've been using Google Ads, and I've tested different sort of audiences, and okay, what are we, if we use this keyword, what kind of audience are we drawing into our site? That's also something that matters quite a bit. Is like, okay, is this landing page really reflecting what you then offer as well? So it's like a quite a complex sort of like starting from marketing that you do, and then someone searching the service that you're offering, then ending up through Google Ad or other advertising to your landing page, and then signing up, and then is that the right person, and are they the ones that we actually wanna chat with? So yeah, it's something that I've always found fascinating. But the better the landing page is, the more it represents the current product and what you're selling and what your sales is actually selling, and not just what you want to have on the page, the better the results will be.
So three more questions, basically. Calls to action. That's a typical question in landing pages where, to be honest, in B2B, you don't always know. How do you actually kind of get the interested party into raising their hand and saying they want to hear more? Do you have any advice on what are call to actions that are really working right now in landing pages?
Yeah, I think some of the call to actions right now, because of AI and how easy it is to create sort of like pre-product experiences, I think there's a huge opportunity to create something where you can already experience some of it, or you can get some value. So in general, I would say that the call to actions are probably changing a bit. I have currently a client that I'm working with, and they are offering this sort of like a free tool to figure out that, okay, what are people searching through the AI services, or what could be the prompts. And there are a lot of tools that are sort of you need to pay for, but some companies can offer that as a free service so that they can then upsell there. So I think call to actions might be changing a bit compared to previous one. Another thing that I've noticed is that it really depends on the what type of audience you're attracting to your site versus what are you asking? Are you asking them to sign up for a free trial, or book a demo, or a call with you? So to give you an example, one of my the companies that I help with, and one of the founder friends, they had a sort of like an offering which was pretty complicated as the full product, but then we tested like, okay, how about if we offer a mini product or solution, and to a very different market, and if we tried to get like lower cost to a lower cost product, if we tried to get some sales calls booked, we didn't get much traction at all with our Google Ads campaign. But the minute we changed it to a free trial, and it was a low cost sort of offering, it started like getting signups and more traction. So it really matters like what you are selling. What is it? Is it something where the customer would love to have their team to help with the decision making? Is it something that they've already probably like tested or had a chat with multiple providers already, versus is it something that the user kind of expects that I want to test it on my own without anyone's help? When I was building Flockler, and it was a full self-serve product, no sales guys at all, and the call to action was always free trial. We didn't use multiple. We just wanted like, okay, get anyone who is our target customers, let them sign up, get a free trial, no credit card needed. We wanted to push people to that flow. And when we started, or when we wanted to reach out to them, it was actually pretty difficult to get any replies from them, because most self-serve users are just like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm totally fine. I don't really need your help. So yeah, the product really defines what you're selling. But in general, I would say that call to actions probably are going towards even more actionable, and maybe even some sort of a mini product in between. So that's an exciting one that AI can power and help us build some experiences that are like start of the customer journey before you actually then sign up for the product.
I think that's really, really important advice. And then, as long as you know who the customer who's hitting the landing page is, what I've seen is a lot of my enterprise customers, it's a book a demo. People are very happy with that call to action. When you're going for a developer audience, it's a free trial. Sometimes when you're an enterprise software with a free trial, you might offer both, and you might see that the developers go for the free trial and then the business unit leaders go for the demo. So testing is important when, if you're not sure that your conversion rates are high enough, then you should be asking those questions. If you 100% know that who your target audience is, you can kind of go with what your best performing assets.
Yeah. And definitely do not listen to those who say that you need one CTA only, or so. That's like the worst advice that anyone can give. Like I have tons of products that they really like in my mind that need like documentation and sign up. For example, if you're offering technical products, like if you only have a sign up for a free trial for something very technical, it's not going to convert as well as just having documentation that you can read. I was just recently doing Stripe integration, and if anyone wants to find some inspiration how to do documentation and search and customer experience, right, go to documents of Stripe, and then in the search you can actually ask questions in a natural language, and it's not trying to pretend to be like a Stripe bot answering. It's just like giving you those answers really, and you can continue the sort of asking more questions. So it feels like a bit like ChatGPT, but within the document. So yeah, there's like definitely more than one CTA, even if the general rule would be that use one if you don't need any more. But not no black and white there.
Perfect. Tony, of course, it really depends on what kind of a business. It really depends on what customer audience you're serving. But if you could give me one surprising or exciting high impact change that you think you could make on a landing page this year that could improve conversions, what's a kind of a surprising kind of and a high impact thing that you've seen recently?
I'd say high impact and surprising is for me it's been the sort of use of, because I'm running right now like a small SaaS startup. So for me, one of the high impact has been using a video where I'm sort of going through the product and just like, I'm not a video marketing expert. I don't know how to edit the best possible videos. But I've just like started doing more of them and learned on the way, at least to be a bit more sort of like natural in those videos. I'm still not a pro editor, but I can do them. But that's been really surprising to see that those people who actually then sign up for our free trial or book a demo call with me, they actually mentioned quite a few times that I really like the product tour. So that's at least something for smaller companies that what I've seen working really well. That founder being present, showing just the basics of the product can be quite powerful. Then another one that is not on the page itself, but what I've really had really good results with is that we have a sign up form for a free trial, but because we have still some technical limitations, we don't actually generate the account straight away. We take a look like, okay, is everything all right with this generated page? What the landing rapid generates, and then we then send, once the check is approved, then we send the login details for the user. So there's a bit of friction in the process. But what we've done in that thank you page is that, hey, it says something like, hey, thanks for signing up. We will be, reviewing your account and we'll send you login details shortly. But then it has Calendly straight away, and above that it's saying something that if you want to get landing page and marketing tips from our founder, and that links to my LinkedIn profile, then you can book a call with us. And I've got such a good leads and really great discussions through that one thank you page with Calendly embedded. So yeah, something to think that even if you wouldn't want to have book a demo, book a call out in the open for everyone. Not all the businesses want those. They might want to just have free trials. But when the person has then signed up, maybe you want to offer that as a way to learn more from them and be able to build a better product in the future through all those insights that you get from someone who's signing up just now.
That's a really good tip. I recently was comparing software solutions for AI visibility, and basically I looked at 10 different tools that were all self-service. I put a credit card in, I started using it. the one that won, the one that I actually picked, once I had actually started a free trial, they offered me to have a 15-minute onboarding with the founder. And it is such a small thing. Obviously, the founder had to have 15 minutes to have a conversation with me, but there's a massive difference that I had 2 or 3 questions I had that changed the competitive dynamic of that being 1 out of 10 solutions to that being the one solution that answered my questions, and they won the deal. So I think that's a bit of a guerrilla tactic for a founder who's maybe not the biggest software company in the world yet.
Yeah, and it's I think we think that it's gonna take too much time. We I don't know if we can really offer that, but in my experience, I'm only getting really sort of like high quality discussions out of those calls. Like intuitively you would think that if you offer that in self-serve, then you get a high volume, but in reality people who are using that self-serve product, they're kind of proud if they can go through the product without and if they can find the information. They're like seeking the information everywhere. My customers have been asking ChatGPT before they ask me, which is a bit alarming sometimes. And ChatGPT might not have the right information. So I think we sometimes overthink it too much, and we should just like offer it for everyone. And if it becomes a problem, you can just obviously then decrease how many people see it, or find ways to decrease those calls. But yeah, until that's a problem, then learning more. And even I'm sure that even bigger companies can use it. They just like go behind this sort of like a screen that there needs to be a process, or there needs to be some sort of flow before you can get in touch with us. So yeah, I'd encourage more people to do what you described, that they send the message and gave you more information through a call.
So we want to know. So you're betting your company and your career that you can make B2B landing pages better. When someone's listening to this conversation, what do you think you can give to a B2B founder or your service provider that is going to help them keep ahead of their competitors? What's basically your vision for TaskRabbit?
Yeah, so we've sort of started building this landing rabbit first from the point of view that okay, we didn't have a lot of landing pages or enough landing pages to get the best possible results, not only from Google Ads but also in other marketing use cases. But then the bigger picture that I have in my mind is that when my product develops, I want the whole website to match that product. When I have a sales discussion and our kind of like the angle is slightly changing and we want to push forward something, I want the whole website to reflect that. And at the moment, it's incredibly hard. If you've ever built a website, let's say with Webflow, WordPress, or recently I built with Framer, great products, but if you change your product or your positioning a bit, like how you talk to your customers or what new features you have, there's a lot of work to try to update those pages and keep the same tone of voice and so forth. And that's my sort of like bigger goal, that when you're building your product, Landing Rabbit kind of expands with you, but not only creating new pages, but also like making sure that pages are up to date. And in a sort of like concrete example, it means that you can ask Landing Rabbit or tell Landing Rabbit that okay, we've added this new integration, and then it suggests like okay, you have blog posts here that mentions those integrations, you have this page here that mentioned, and let's do some tweaks to those, and then it suggests that tweak, and it's really good at making small tweaks, not necessarily the whole content, but small tweaks. So that's something that's like the bigger sort of, for me, that whatever information you have, Landing Rapid can proactively try to help you then and make sure that the page is sort of always up to date. What is sort of different with the current tools right now is that because they've been built for builders and designers, and not for the content and how the pages update. They're like the most common solution how you can sort of decrease your workload, for example, if you're using Framer, is that you can create templates and components and then share those components. But that means that then on the page, you're probably serving quite similar page to another use case, versus that you could actually really sort of personalize it for something, because you need to save your time by building it from components and templates. And yeah, that's what I want to avoid. I want to kind of have like more dynamic way of editing, so that you don't need to build every page with certain components. Instead, you can build the best possible page for that use case, that customer, that pain point. And then when you need to update everything on the full site, you can just ask like, okay, what what are the things that are not really resonating with this sentence, like this new development. So yeah, that's the bigger vision for me to yeah, be the B2B focused, content driven builder.
Fundamentally, if those websites convert, marketing is happy. If those landing pages speak about the needs of the customer, sales are probably going to be happy. If it describes the product in a fair and accurate way, product's going to be happy. But the most important is that if it doesn't take 6 months to build these websites and they sit on a shelf for 2 years with no one wanting to look back at it, that's the big problem that I think you can solve. So if you can get people excited about thinking about landing pages and updating them and learning about what's actually working, then I think that's an exciting journey to continue following. Okay, Tony, thank you so much for the conversation. It's been a joy. Let's see what we're gonna have with this conversation, and yeah, I think we're gonna learn a lot.
Thanks again for having me.